Hi guys, it's Markus here. This is for Tech Wednesdays at the STEAM Academy at the Six Nation Polytech School, and this is February 2018 class 1. This is where we are teach, and what we want to do here is in our first class is create a little burglar alarm using infrared LEDs and create basically an infrared beam. So once the beam is disconnected or broken, then we're gonna create or let's say get an event, and based on the event, we're gonna change the light of our LED, of our BLE candle. So how does this work? We have these two LEDs. One is clear, and it's the emitter, and one is dark, the receiver, and they basically create an invisible infrared beam. And if that beam is disconnected, we get an event from the Pi program, which we can then use to change the color of our light. So here are the pieces we need. We need something called a breadboard, a couple of resistors, two 330 ohm one and one 10k ohm, and then the infrared emitter and receiver, clear and dark LED, and one or two red LEDs for testing, and a couple of cables. This is what you should find in your Pi box for your group. These are the resistors. I put some labels on them because they look pretty much the same, and a couple of cables and these test LEDs plus the clear and the dark one. So a couple things to remember: the LEDs or the diodes, they only let traffic or electricity essentially only in through one way, and you always need a resistor there, otherwise they might blow up, so be careful. Use the red LEDs before we start for testing, and I'll show you in a separate video how that works, and I'll show that in person at the class. So, and one thing to keep in mind, the LEDs have like a long leg and a short leg. The long leg is going to positive. That's how we're going to do it here. So, and except for the dark LED there, we're going to use a short leg to go to positive. So keep that in mind. And as I said, mark the resistors so you know them if they're not already marked. This is the schema, and I go through this in more detail in the class. So we have these registers, they go before the LEDs, and we're going to pick up here if this goes too high on our board, and going to show this in person. So this is our little test thing before we actually get started. We're just going to use a red LED, a 330 resistor, and we hook this up to the Pi power and ground. Right? Power is always, we try to use red, and for ground we use black. This is our total setup, which we should have, and as I said, there's a video which goes through those two steps in details, and I think I have this here too set up for you guys, so this should be it. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, if I can get out of here, so in this particular step, what we're gonna do is we get the code from GitHub into our Node-RED, and I'll show you basically import this, and then we're gonna go through those events which we get from our little setup here. Let's see if we get a bit more light so you can see this. Okay, so you go to the GitHub, open up, so you should have your Node-RED fired up. It's empty. If not, just delete the code. In our GitHub, in the Six Nation Polytech GitHub, there should be a burglar alarm flow. Just, view this in raw, do the Control C, Control A, Control C, go back to Node-RED, import this here, and this is what you should have then. then you deploy this. One thing you have to do is adjust the candle number. I'm 30 here in my little lab setup. You may have a different number, so make sure you adjust that number for all the blue events here. So you can see I already get events from my Raspberry Pi, which is good. So in my case, everything is working fine. And the one event I'm looking for is, if I switch this off here, is I want an event when we break it. So if I put something in here, you see my LED goes on and the candle goes to red. So this is basically what we're trying to achieve. So what we have to do here is, the one thing you guys have to do is just add this flow here. Here you see the IR events. They're 1 if it's broken, and it's going to be 0 if it's unbroken, meaning the beam is consistent. So all we have to do is here create this flow and set this candle to red with the appropriate values, and then that's basically your task here, and then we should be good to go. So if we do this again, then it should go red, right? So we get an event here, or we got this already, event red, and if I take it away again, we get an event that it's the beam is consistent again. Okie doke. This is basically the steps for getting the code. This is what it looks like. One thing after the class, just make sure you disassemble everything again, put it in a box, and delete your code. And before you delete the code, back your code up back into the GitHub. You should have, there should be a folder with your group name, and you can see it's SMP01 and so forth. So you can just go in here, create a new folder if you like 2018, 2018, and update and back up your code in here. Okay, that's it. And I hope this is gonna work for you. This is a whole setup. There's the last steps to, back up your code and delete. And there's more references, and I hope I see you. If I haven't seen you yet, I see you then on Wednesday. Good. Looking forward to it.